Based on the results of this study, the following are recommended. Number one, include in the mental health program the needed trainings of the respondents, which are time management, getting a smart start, setting goals, avoiding burnout, healthy relationship and self-awareness. And number two, conduct a survey on the client satisfaction rating of Apayao State College employees. Thank you and God bless us all.
Our gratitude, Ms. Sanggadan, for sharing with us the result of your study. The next to present is from Caraga State University. The research paper is Effectiveness of Supplementary Modular Learning Materials to Involve Students in Science,
My fellow
Technology,
researchers,
Engineering,
honored
and
guests,
Mathematics in Installation. Let us all welcome Ms. U.S. Garano.
my fellow researchers, honored guests, and to the committee facilitators of this third International Conference on Education, Environment, and Agriculture 2022, and good day to all of you. This time, I'm going to present with you our study titled Effectiveness of Supplementary Modular Learning Materials to Grade 12 Students in Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics track in Stoichiometry. My name is Julius Brahmi from Caraga State University. I'm a co-researcher, Ms. Dinalyn M. Ayado. The introduction. Based on the tutorial curriculum, there have been a shift in paradigm of learning from teacher-centered learning to student-centered learning according to TAM 2014. It highlights the students who have passed the minimum criteria of mastery learning should be provided with enrichment programs, while the others who have not passed will get remedial programs according to LIEGO 2020. Thus, teachers were required to develop alternative learning materials and instructional devices to help facilitate teaching and learning process according to Conduct 2020. So that was the reason why the Department of Education released a DepEd Order number 32 stating that learning must continue by giving engagement service, learning support aids, such as alternative learning resources or supplementary learning materials that could improve independent learning process skills to the students, ways to cater their needs, and to guide them to become an active when it comes to learning amidst pandemic times. So by this, the students would be able to apply the learning concept in the real life situation according to William of 2017. So, developed supplementary materials was additional alternative printed used for both distance learning and face-to-face class to promote motivation and to help the students master competency-based skills on most essential learning competencies, which were not developed during the making of alternative learning modalities known as TPID modules. So it was an intervention materials for the students who have difficulties in answering the alternative learning modules to enhance the academic achievements of students performing low in low general chemistry according to Otami of 2016. So it increases and deepens student skills in manipulation, thinking, understanding, and observing. So in accordance to DepEd Order number 18 series of 2020, in which flexible distance learning is a delivery modality where student-teacher learning takes place in geographically remote instructions were opted with the division of Agusan del Sur. So the school monitoring evaluation and adjustment, or the SMEA 2020 quarter one, presents that most of the students has performed low in the following topics. Number one, determine the molar mass of elements and compounds. Second, modular calculate the mass of a given number of moles of an element or compound. And third, calculate the mass of a given number of particles of an element or compound. That's why other researchers develop an intervention materials known as the supplementary modular learning materials to enhance the needs of the students and become useful tools to increase their performance in least learned skills And the researchers also conducted a study to measure the effectiveness of the developed supplementary learning materials among the STEM students on their general chemistry subjects, specifically in stoichiometry topic, modular learning. So this is the methodology of our study. So first, we crafted the supplementary learning materials based on the list learned competencies and the assessment tools. Then after that, uh, the questionnaires the supplementary materials were validated by the master teachers three for at least 10 to 20 years in teaching the field. And then we asked permission from the superintendent to the principal, and then we conducted the pilot testing, and then we conducted the pre-test all samples, both controlled and experimental, and then after the implementation of the study, we conducted again the post-test to all samples. Okay, so this are the research findings of our study. For problem number one, what's the level of self-efficacy of the students in using supplementary learning materials? So table 1 here shows the highest mean score with a rating of 4.73 of the students supported that the internet connections and gadgets are very essential into this learning since majority of the students both group rated is always. So it revealed that majority of the students affirmed the readiness to use the supplementary learning materials for their learning with the help of digitalized technology and internet access when no one can cater their queries into this distance learning according to NIARCO et al. 2020. So it relates also that the use of developed digitalized supplementary learning module as teaching and learning media motivated the students to study chemistry independent by themselves with the help of internet access as additional sources and resulted to the increase of their achievement in chemistry subject. So as presented, here in the table, the lowest score of 2.73 rated as sometimes in control group and 2.13 interpreted as seldom in experimental group of the students doubted that they discussed the concepts with their elder brothers and sisters or parents. So it shows that one of the factors that affects the least learned competencies of the students is because they were not well guided by their peers, elders, brothers, sisters, and their parents. Okay. For problem number two, what is the academic performance of the students using liquid printed modules compared to the developed supplementary learning materials? So if you're going to, as presented here in table 2, it shows that the academic performance of the student in both modules shows an average of 70% in their pre-test results with the remarks of moving towards mastery. However, when the post-test was conducted with the intervention applied for the group with supplementary materials, there is a large increase in their scores. So the control group having the printed module still shows an increase of the average scores with 81%, but still having the remarks moving towards mastery. Moreover, the experimental group with the supplementary learning material shows an increase of 91% with the remarks of closely approximating mastery. Okay, for problem number 3, is there a significant difference in academic performance of the students before and after the implementation of the developed supplementary learning materials? So, table 3 shows the t-test results for the pre-test and post-test. So it is presented in the table that the pre-test results of two groups has shown no significant difference since both indicators have the same mean score of 70% and have a p-value of 1 greater than 0.05. This means that both groups had the same academic performance before the supplementary learning materials had been administered. And the post-test on the other hand, has a highly significant difference since the two groups indicate a 10% difference with p-value of 0.00. It means that the two groups have a higher difference regarding the data variable after implementing the supplementary learning materials. And problem number 4, how effective is the developed supplementary learning materials to the academic performance of the students? So table 4 shows the result of students' performance in the pre-test and post-test. In group In control group, the pre-test, post-test result is 0.00 and its statistical result is negative 9.39 that remarks highly significant. On the other hand, the pre-test post-test results of experimental group is 0.00 and its statistical result is negative 10.63 with remarks of highly significant. It means that both group and experimental group are highly significant, but students under the experimental group with supplementary learning materials have larger academic scores compared to students with conventional way of distance learning. This means that the experimental group with supplementary learning materials is more effective than those on the control group. As a result, so the post-test and the supplementary learning materials reveals that academic performance of the students has increased. It shows that there was a significant difference between the pre-test and post-test of the supplementary learning materials. And the utilization of supplementary learning materials was effective intervention materials that made students obtain better scores in the post-test. So this is the conclusion of our study. Uh, the students need gadgets and turn it into this distance learning because seldom their family member discuss the topic. So the academic performance of the students having an intervention of supplementary learning materials has a larger scores compared to the students without intervention. And then there were no significant difference of the academic performance of the students before administered the treatment. However, after it implemented, there were highly significant. And then the supplementary learning materials was effective as an intervention to the students in distance learning approach as it gathered a larger score compared to the students with no intervention. And this is the recommendations of our study. One, school administrator needs to implement an activity designed to conduct seminars or webinars for parents to guide them in assisting the students during their classes at home. And then another recommendation, school may conduct trainings, programs, and activities that will enhance more skills of the teachers in crafting supplementary modular learning materials as a support aid to the distance learning of the learner's needs in mastering the least learned competencies. And then third finding, teachers should provide emphasis in the identified least learned competencies in the discussion of General Chemistry 1. And then lastly, school faculty should also clear their students on how, where, what, where they learn. And these are some of the references of our study. Okay. So thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Ms. Garame, for giving us a very informative presentation. Our next presenter is Ms. Desiree D. Elias from Don Llano Marcos Memorial State University, La Union, Philippines. Her research paper is Gamification Tools in English Language Classrooms, a Systematic Literature Review.
Today, I'm going to present to you our research entitled Gamification Tools in English Language Classrooms, a Systematic Literature Review. Yours truly, Desiree D. Elias, faculty member of the Don Mariano Marcos Memorial State University, La Union, together with Dr. Cara Espanolong, a faculty member of Benguet State University, Benguet, Philippines. The trend of adopting e-learning has been evident for many years now in the field of language learning and education. E-learning, according to researchers, makes learning more fun while also giving a multitude of benefits. Lim and Yunus, 2021. As a matter of fact, the field of language learning and education worldwide has become more technologically oriented as the 21st century progresses. These shifts in teaching strategies, approaches, and methodologies is in response to the students' needs inside the classrooms. In order to meet the demands of the technology-native students, Prensky 2019 and of gamification tools as used by teachers and students. For the materials and methods, this study employed the systematic literature review method. Papers with no relation to gamification tools used in English language classrooms. As to language, we included research articles or scientific papers that made use of English as a medium of writing. However, excluded were research articles or scientific papers that did not make use of English as a medium of writing. For our database, Google Scholar and other databases accessible to the researchers were included. However, databases not accessible to the researchers were excluded. Lastly, for our time frame, included were research articles or scientific papers on gamification tools used in English language classrooms published from 2017 to 2021. Excluded were research articles or scientific papers that were not published on the said time frame. Using available databases with the following keywords used: gamification tools used in English language classrooms, gamifying or gamified English language classrooms, 63 papers were identified. After a thorough analysis of the 63 identified articles, and after examining the whole text to ensure that the inclusion and exclusion criteria were met, 17 articles were shortlisted. Excluded articles lacked focus on gamification tools used in English language classrooms. Some were conceptual articles and duplicated copies, and others were articles published in conference proceedings. For the results and discussion, the common gamification tools used in English language classrooms were the following: Kahoot, Quizzes, Quizlet, Duolingo, Classcraft, JClick, Seppo, and the Protege. It can be noted that the reviewed studies implemented commercial gamified tools, mainly apps in English language classrooms. Practically, most of them were conducted with the help of free applications that can be easily accessed and downloaded from the internet and used whether on a computer or a mobile device. Furthermore, among the identified gamification tools, Kahoot was the most commonly used in English language classrooms. This indicates that the application is versatile, that can cater learners' needs across levels and areas, and it's easy to use and manage, thus making it user-friendly to both the teachers and students. According to Idris Said in TAN 2020, Kahoot aims to make learning more fun and enjoyable for students of all ages and backgrounds through a free online game-based learning platform. Its main principle is developing a game-based platform that allows learners to learn in a fun, interactive, and competitive environment. Kaur and Nadirajan 2019. In addition, it has been continuously developing as it added a video feature where users can add videos to make it more engaging. As to the features of gamification tools used by teachers, this table revealed that the features of competition using leaderboards, time restriction, challenges, and levels were used. Continuance using straight feedback, profile, and meme. On the other hand, collaboration made use of team and danger mode, while compensation used lingots, points, badges, and rewards. Again, features of competition, continuance, collaboration, and compensation were used in the reviewed articles. This implies that the use of different features help these tools in making them more game-like. Aside from that, they also play a significant role in making learning fun and engaging. This is in consonance with Kim 2015, who found that these features are designed for enhancing engagement, motivation, and instruction. In addition, Wu and Wang 2017, Zhu, Huang, and Shi 2019, and Fifth Riani 2021 revealed that these features also help in facilitating language learners in various learning skill classes. Lastly, for the affordances of gamification tools as used by teachers and students, the table revealed that reinforcement of motivation in independent learning, elevation of interest in language learning, and creation of a stress-free and positive learning environment. It can be further noted that numerous researchers found these affordances common in their studies. As noted, gamification tools were used in English language classrooms for varied purposes. This implies that gamification as a whole does not only fosters interest and motivation, but also creates dynamic environments in which users can feel the sense of progress by achieving levels. Budadi and Gutierrez Colon 2020. As a result, learning through a fun environment enhances the retention of lessons learned. Idris Said in Tan 2020. Thus, learning in English language classrooms has proved the efficacy of gamification in shifting the tedious to fun and exciting class atmosphere. In conclusion, this systematic literature review is a thorough examination on gamification tools used in English language classrooms. It provides educators and researchers an overview of the most commonly utilized gamification tools in the English language classrooms, its features, and its affordances. With the number of the identified gamification tools, this proves that English teachers are geared with technology-based tools to meet the needs of the 21st century learners. It indicates that this research field is becoming increasingly popular across different educational levels from primary to tertiary. While this study gives a thorough examination on gamification tools, it does have certain limitations. Only publications from Google Scholar that were published from 2017 to 2021 in peer-reviewed journals in English were considered. Articles from other databases and those written in other language outside the time frame are excluded. Book reviews, editorials, conference proceedings, and dissertations were also excluded from this study. Thus, studies employing a broader time frame that includes other types of published works should be conducted. Other researchers may also consider conducting a study on gamification tools used in other fields. The following are our references. Thank you so much for listening and God bless.
Our appreciation, Ms. Elias, for sharing with us your study. The next present is from West Visayas State University, Philippines. His research paper is Determinants of Zoom Fatigue Among Graduate Students of Teacher Education Program. Let us all welcome Mr. Ryan Michael F. Odocado.
Good day. I'm Ryan Michael F. Odocado. I'm going to present our study entitled Determinants of Zoom Fatigue Among Graduate Students of Teacher Education Program. The rapid transition to online learning in all levels of education including a grid program during the global corona disease outbreak, resulted in a boom of video conference application use. It has been observed that Zoom meeting participants increased by 2,900% during the COVID outbreak. A new phenomenon of feeling tired and exhausted during virtual meetings or Zoom fatigue began to emerge. Given that this new phenomenon appeared only recently with the pandemic, there's still limited data on Zoom fatigue, especially in graduate education. There is a need to explore Zoom fatigue in the educational context, particularly among graduate students, as online remote learning is likely to play a substantial role in teaching and learning even beyond the pandemic. There are a growing body of evidences on the likely negative physical and psychological consequences of Zoom meetings. Evidence also shows that students find it harder to focus and are often less responsive during online synchronous Zoom classes that undesirably affects the non-verbal dynamics in Zoom classes or online classes. Identifying and addressing the factors that contribute to video conference exhaustion experience of graduate students is therefore necessary. Hence, this study determined the level of Zoom fatigue among graduate students in the Philippines. This study also tried to examine if attitude towards virtual meetings and nonverbal factors are significantly associated with Zoom fatigue in the context of graduate teacher education. We used a descriptive correlational cross-sectional design. We had 109 graduate students who responded to our online survey. The average age of the respondents was 29 years old, and majority, or 82.6%, were females. 75.2% were master's degree or enrolled in the master's program, and 24.8% are enrolled in the doctoral program. We used the Zoom exhaustion and fatigue scale by Foville, and we adopted this because this had good psychometric properties. The online survey was administered via Google Forms in March 2022. To analyze the data, we used SPSS version 26. Descriptive and inferential statistics were used to analyze the data, and the level of significance was set at 0.05 alpha. So the overall level of Zoom fatigue was 3.37, and that is interpreted as moderate. We have the highest level of fatigue in the general subscale, followed by visual, motivational, social, and least in the emotional subscale. It was demonstrated in this research that graduate students generally had moderate level of Zoom fatigue. Virtual platform is said to be more mentally exhausting than traditional face-to-face communication. Comparable levels of fatigue were noted from Stanford study, Indonesian university students, and among Filipino teachers this study. In the correlational analysis, we found that attitude, cognitive load in producing virtual nonverbal cues, sense of being physically trapped, hyperpace, and mirror anxiety were significantly correlated with Zoom fatigue. Regression analysis found that two of the nonverbal factors remain significant predictors of Zoom fatigue, and these are a sense of being physically trapped and cognitive load in producing nonverbal cues. This accounted for 30.4% of the variance in Zoom fatigue. So the result replicates the findings of prior research abroad and in the Philippines, wherein sense of being physically trapped was the strongest predictor of Zoom fatigue. Being non-responsive when attending synchronous Zoom classes can exacerbate Zoom fatigue symptoms that may decrease learning capacity and attention. Zoom users need to stay within the field view of the camera, resulting in reduced mobility when sitting down and stay straight ahead most of the time during video conferencing. Moreover, cognitive load in producing verbal cues predicted higher levels of fatigue. The finding corroborates with that of the finding from Stanford in studies conducted in the Philippines. Zoom users need to work harder to send nonverbal signals contributing to higher levels of fatigue. This research also demonstrated that while not significant predictors, hypergaze, mirror, and view significantly correlated with Zoom fatigue. The higher the level of hypergaze, the higher the level of Zoom fatigue. So in video conferencing platforms, people get the upfront views of all people for hours consecutively, and the amount of close eye contact can be intense. Also, this study found that the higher the levels of inner anxiety felt by the participants, it was higher levels of fatigue. It has been explained that seeing a mirror image of self for several hours in virtual meeting can likely lead to negative self-focused attention, increasing fatigue. Also, this study noted that more negative attitude towards video conferences was significantly correlated with less level of Zoom fatigue. Similar findings were found in other studies conducted in other countries and among undergraduate students and teachers in the Philippines. Understanding the role of attitudes is important because it may likely influence the strength of intention and acceptance of use of video conference platform in the future. For the conclusion, this study highlights that the present study generally supports previous research, the association of attitude towards video conferences, and the role of nonverbal mechanisms specific to the use of virtual conference on Zoom fatigue experience of graduate students. Video conferencing applications supported educational activities during the global disease outbreak. It is recommended to be mindful of the nonverbal factors that contribute to Zoom fatigue and know how to optimize current features of Zoom to help minimize exhaustion during virtual meetings. Despite the significant findings, this research has limitations that could influence the generalizability and reliability of our findings. This study only involved a sample of students in graduate teacher education in one university in the Philippines, used cross-sectional design that cannot establish causal effect between variables, and employed questionnaire that lend itself to self-report bias. Despite these limitations, our research adds to the body of knowledge on Zoom fatigue and can also be useful in informing the design of effective strategies against the unintended negative effects of video conferencing tools. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Adocado, for sharing with us your research paper. We have just heard from our first batch of presenters, very topic researches on education. Our presenters are now ready to answer some queries which you may have relative to their research. So any questions from our participants about from our Facebook Live audience? So our first question is for Mr. Odocado. Sir, good morning.
Yes, morning.
Good morning, Bob. Here's your question. Zoom and other platforms will be popular tools that affect fatigue, and is there a long-term solution for this?
Perhaps in our study, we just focused on the attitude and the nonverbal factors of Zoom fatigue. In my other studies, where I explored the Zoom fatigue among teachers and as well as nursing students, we found that with higher levels of fatigue. So basically, in our present study, we are constrained towards identifying this intensity
pre-tested 70% also compared to the printed module from DEP, which shows that the SLM is more effective than the latter. So what changes are applied and how will it help DEP Ed in creating modules?
Okay, thank you, sir, for the question. So, the crafted supplementary materials, it is the materials used already in the division level. Since the proponent crafted this module, and my course structure is a national participants for these instructional materials, and then uh, it found in the study that even though the conventional dictated module is effective, but we have the intervention, there was a large increase, no, in the performance of, of the students when it comes to the development when it comes to the understanding of the concept of, of chemistry general chemistry subject.
Okay, thank you so
Thank
much.
you, sir.
So our last question for this batch is for Mr. Nobis. Hello, sir. Good morning. Hello, sir. Good morning. So your question, sir, is what are the interventions that the university has done to guarantee the students to become competent in their nursing journey? Sir, we cannot hear you.
Hello, sir. Sorry for that one, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you for the question, sir. The university is really doing its best, especially to address these online barriers, especially that the barriers in whether the students are tend to be less motivated, especially to the experiencing um, some problems with related to their studies.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. So there you go. That's the end of the first batch of presenters. So thank you so much to our participants and our Facebook Live audiences for their questions and clarifications. Likewise to our presenters for accommodating and answering the questions of our audiences. So let us now proceed to the second batch of paper presenters. To begin with, our presenter is from Apayao State College Corner Campus, Apayao, Philippines. The title of his research paper is Factors Affecting the Job and Performance of Apayao State College Corner Campus Employees in the Workplace. A warm welcome to Mr. Kenneth Dexter T. aka Tablati.
There has been an extensive researches on motivation, but the question is, are these researches and adequately addressed? Good day everyone, I am Kenneth Dexter Marquez Tablatin, and I am presenting in behalf of my colleague Mr. Lester Pascual, and our research entitled Factors Affecting the Job and Performance of Apayao College Corner Campus Employees in the Workplace. Introduction. Each Praise has a distinct combination and intensity of desires, as some people are driven by sex, while others are anxious by security. Employers should be able to predict what employees will want from their jobs if they can understand, predict, and control employee behavior. Therefore, it's crucial for an employer to comprehend what actually motivates employees rather than making assumptions. Given the importance of motivation in influencing an employee's performance, other factors such as the resources made available to an employee to do his or her task are equally important. Trying to consider reasons and appearances of the employee-employer work relationships, the researchers opted to conduct analysis regarding the skills and performance of the employees of Apayao Isip College Corner Campus as a baseline to know what approaches and kind of environment as the employees of Apayao Isip College Corner Campus are currently experiencing factors motivates them to perform at the best of their ability for the betterment of the institution. Hence, this is objectives. Generally, this is study aim to assess the factors affecting the job and performance of Payaguisi College Coron campus employees in the workplace. Specifically, it will answer the following. One, what are the social demographic profile of the respondents in terms of A, age, sex, civil status, highest educational attainment, nature of employment, salary, and organizational tenure. Two, to identify whether salary affects the job performance of the employees. Three, to identify whether job environment affects the job performance of the employees. Four, to identify whether employees' work affects the job performance. And five, to identify the relationship with the coworker and supervisor. The methodology. The descriptive survey approach was employed in this study, and it was conducted at Apayawisi College Corner Campus. The confirmed employees who participated as a respondents of this study were 5 casual employees, 63 contract of service employees, and 8 order employees, with a total of 76 respondents. This study employed a research questionnaire deployed from Sabati Munisani's 2013 study identifying factors that influences performance amongst employees in oil palm plantation. However, some parts of the questionnaire have been modified by the researchers. As to the data gathering procedure, questionnaires were administered a 5-point Likert scale as used. Result and discussions. In terms of salary, most of the respondents agree that they are satisfied with their salary, and it signifies that the salary they receive is a fair reflection of their skills, knowledge, and trainings. However, majority of them disagree to the on-time release of their salary. Given this pandemic we are facing, the global economy is strongly affected. Thus, some of the respondents are uncertain if their salary they receive is suffice for their daily meals. And my recommendation, the management should implement a strict time frame in processing of salaries to avoid delay, and they should consider a thorough assessment and evaluation to employees for a possible increase of salary, given that the pandemic has affected the global market. Thus, inflation should be considered. And in terms of the working environment, majority of them agree that they gain a lot in their work. Their suggestion and leadership style are being appreciated, and the institution also possess the family-oriented values, which is one of the best Filipino traits. Results also show that the respondents are happy with their job and they receive constructive feedback that bring positive changes to them. However, some students show the importance of conducive workstation and being updated with any changes implemented. Think is very important to maintain productivity. So my recommendation is that as the results show that the respondents have a positive illustration towards the organization. However, when using the workstation should be monitored, the management should always observe cleanliness and well ventilated offices. And a proper channeling in dissemination of pertinent information to employees whenever there are changes to keep on track. And in workload, majority of the respondents agreed that they gain personal growth and accomplishment, and most of them are involved in decision making and felt safe in sharing their ideas toward work efficiency. However, results show that some respondents overloaded, and that forced them to extend their time beyond 5 p.m. and sometimes they are taking home work to meet the deadline. Automatic systems are not well functioning. Thus, they are forced to use their personal ICTs for work. And my recommendation is the management should see and assess every department as the respondents recommended that they are lacking in manpower. And I think it should always be monitored as to whether for upgrading or for replacement efficient in terms of the co-workers and supervisors. Majority of the respondents agree that this co-workers and supervisor plays a key motivator to them to well. They are valued and receive the respect they deserve. And respondents also signifies that they are comfortable working with the co-workers and supervisor and find it easy to them with. However, there are some that disagree to the good relationship they have with their coworkers and supervisor, and the management should look into it. And my recommendation that since most of the respondents portray their co-workers and supervisor positively, there are still few that are experiencing negativity in their respective unit. The manager should take thorough evaluation to every employee as to whether permanent or non-permanent employee, because it is crucial for an employer to comprehend what actually motivates employees such than making actions. So this is the ranking of the factors affecting the job and performance of PIOC College. So number one is the co-workers and supervisor, and number two, environment. Two is workload, and fourth is salary. So for the conclusion, based on the data conducted, it was shown that the employees were satisfying the salaries and the benefits they receive. As to the working environment, majority of the respondents agree that their workplace is conducive and it impacts them to work efficiently and perform to maximum potentials. In terms of workload, the respondents' personal accomplishments could clearly define quality goals in their work. In the matter of co-workers and supervision, most respondents employ the importance of value and respect of an approachable and sympathetic co-worker and supervisor. All these factors may generate a win-win situation for employees and to the institution. And that would be all. Thank you, and once again, good day.
Our gratitude, Mr. Tablatin, for sharing with us the research paper. The next to present is Mr. Jopet Vincent Guinidalia from Sorsogon State University, Sorsogon, Philippines. His research paper is Satisfaction with Student Affairs and Services of Sorsogon State University, Bulan Campus.
Blessed day, I am Dr. Vincent Medalia, and I'm going to present the research I am Mr. Chopet Vicente Medalla, and I am going to present the research paper I completed with Professor Madam Dam, our project lead, and with my co-member, Professor Corazon G. Veloz. Higher education institutions are inherently mandated to develop non-professionals of an individual, or important, their holistic self. In the World Declaration on Higher Education for the 20th Century by the UNESCO emphasizes HEIs have great roles in the social, cultural, and economic development of the. In order to achieve this, they have to guide students to learn beyond the four corners of the classroom, preparing part of the human resources of the global community. The set of out-classroom programs that seek to develop academic, professional, social, emotional, civic, and spiritual aspects of the students is known as Student Affairs and Services, or SAS. The importance of SAN in educational institutions has been recognized worldwide, including the Philippines. A manifestation of this is the Commission on Higher Education's issuance of Memorandum Order Number 9, Series of 2013, which provides for the responsibilities and guidelines on student affairs and services in higher education institutions. Under this memorandum, AEIs are mandated to institutionalize student affairs and services with divided states, namely student welfare services, student development services, and institutional student programs and services. Student welfare services deal with fundamental services and programs that ensure and promote the students' well-being. Student development services are those that are designed for the realization of students' potential, personal development, leadership, and social responsibility, while institutional student program services are programs that serve as a response to basic health, food, shelter, and safety concerns of students. A significant feature of the Memorandum of Commission on Higher Education is the provision for gradual improvement, which can be done through monitoring and evaluation of SES. Hence, the Bulan campus of Sorsogon State College, which is now Sorsogon State University, has led the satisfaction of the students with its case study entitled Satisfaction, Student Affairs and Services, Sorsogon State College, Bulan campus. This study particularly sought to find out the level of satisfaction of the students with different units of student affairs and services, namely medical and health services, guidance and counseling services, scholarship and financial services, sports, culture and arts services, student services, student organizations, and student publications. This study applied the descriptive research design utilizing both quantitative and qualitative data. A total of 340 students in the study. They were proportionately distributed to the three units of SC Bulan campus, namely Information and Communications Technology, Education, and Management at B1. Random sampling from the official list of students was done to identify the respondents. We utilize an institutional survey questionnaire on the evaluation of student affairs and services. This questionnaire is being used by the institution in evaluation of various units and services for purpose of improving them and as required by different accrediting agencies such as ACOP and ISO. The researchers use the statistics to analyze the quantitative data of the study, which are count weighted mean. Content analysis of the comments, suggestions, and recommendations was performed to supplement the interpretation of the quantitative results of the study. For the result of this research, found that the students were generally satisfied with the medical and health services with an average weighted mean of 4.10 out of 5. They were moderately satisfied with guidance and counseling services with an average of 3.48. Meanwhile, they were satisfied with scholarship and financial assistance services and with sports, culture, and art services with average means of 3.76 respectively. On the other hand, they were moderately satisfied both for the basic education and higher education levels. For scholarship and financial assistance services, students' comments centered on the system of selection of scholarship and the raciality of selection. While the college ensures that it implements fair and impartial selection, recommendation of treasuries based on its policies, these comments provide insights at confidence of students with the system being implemented, which can be traced to the extent of transparency of selection process. In this regard, the Scholarship Financial Assistance Services Unit of the college has to ensure full transparency with the process of selection, recommendation, or endorsement of student entities. In terms of sports, culture, and arts, students appreciate the formation of organizations focusing on their sports and creative potentials. The attitude of the designated personnel was also however, the need to improve the facilities used in the sports, culture, and the arts programs emerged. For food and canteen services, comments centered on the reopening of the campus canteen, which was closed because the administration reviewed the contract of the food service provider and conducted refurbishment of the building. However, to compensate for its limitation, canteen available in the income-generating commercial building of the campus, which is located at the front of the campus premises. There are at least 4 commercial stalls in the building that offer food services for the students. These become the center of food or canteen programs of the campus. Another concern of the campus administration is the need to ensure that food service stalls are safe and clean and managed by health certified and competent staff. It is also imperative to ensure that the meals and food offered in these stalls are nutritious. For student organizations, comments suggested to balance the conduct of co-curricular and extracurricular activities-based interpretations. Some respondents also requested the accreditation of fraternities and sororities, which is actually permitted based on the student handbook. The fact that some respondents are requesting for the accreditation of fraternities and sororities means they less knowledge that they are actually allowed for accreditation. There is an improved information dissemination strategy about organizational accreditation. Lastly, the lack of published issue for the accreditation explains the relatively low satisfaction rating of student publication. The students recognize the need for the regular issuance of student publication. Based on this, we conclude that the respondents were generally satisfied with the medical and health services, scholarship and services, sports, culture, and art services, and student organizations. Meanwhile, they were moderately satisfied with the guidance and counseling services, the food and canteen services, and the student publication. The following recommendations based on the conclusions arrived at by the researchers. If the funding does not fall behind of a full-time medic doctor, the frequency of the consultation days increased. Student organization for first aiders during emergency want to help schoolers, especially during sport events, considering the increasing number of enrollees. A full-time guidance counselor needs to be hired to ensure the guidance and counseling programs and activities are given special attention. Also, communicating with the students regarding scholarship programs need to be enhanced. Transparency in the selection process also needs to be employed. The college needs to provide quality and adequate sports, cultural equipment, and facilities, including a bigger office for this unit. The campus canteen also to be operational to cater the needs of students. The college also has craft safety, health, and nutrition standard and guiding for the campus canteen. For food services stalls outside the campus premises, the college may coordinate with the local government unit in ensuring the safety and sanitation of these stalls. There is also activities being conducted by student organizations to ensure that there is a balance between the co-curricular and extracurricular ones. The system for accrediting fraternities and sororities must be introduced to the students through discussion, orientation, or distribution of information materials. The college administration must also monitor the performance of the student publication to ensure that they are regularly publishing school paper issues. Lastly, a mission recruitment selection process may be implemented to encourage competent campus journalists to engage in student publication endeavors. And that is our research entitled Satisfaction with Student Affairs and Services of State College Bulan Campus. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Medalla, for a very insightful presentation. Presenter is Mr. Jomar L. Aban from Don Mariano Marcos Memorial State University, North Union, Campus, La Union, Philippines. His research paper is Multi-Teaching Pedagogies of Entry Education Structures in the Philippines, a Locus Classical Approach.
A blessed day, everyone, in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. I am Jomel Laban, and I'm a faculty member at the Don Mariano Marcos Memorial State University, North La Union Campus, Philippines. I'd like to greet all the participants, friends on education, environment, and agriculture. I am currently as a brief introduction, at the mind of a teacher, there are a lot of things we are thinking, some of which are, what am I teaching? What am I teaching? How will I teach it? How will I know if the students understand? So these are things that would both consider the content and the pedagogy while you were teaching in the four-corner classroom. So these two things must be combined and synergistically intertwined to achieve authentic learning, to achieve effective teaching at the same time. Because, for instance, you have content but no pedagogy, you may put something on the brain but not on the heart. If you have a pedagogy but there's no content, you might put something on the heart but not on the head. Effective teaching leads to authentic learning, as mentioned earlier. This means that what has been learned in the four-corner class has transcended into something beneficial for the learner, and it would further transcend to having the community benefit from it. Now, let's focus on pedagogy. pedagogy is a crucial component, and it's equally as important as content and technology. And this specific parameter must take into full consideration. Uh, well, the Don Mariano Marcos Memorial University, like all other universities in the country, all over the globe, have experienced the horrors of the pandemic, and our teaching and learning has been affected by this pandemic, and the pedagogies have been altered. The question remains for us to solve is this: how we become resilient in overcoming these challenges and sustain excellence. This is a novel pedagogical model, a framework rather, show the locus classicus CAP approach in this. Locus classicus being the most effective way to do with the CAP liaison, that is for the elements to be iterative and cyclical. As we see here, the commonly used teaching pedagogies, just the lecture method, cooperative learning, inquiry-based learning, and learning with emphasis on communication skills. I will subject it to the calculation, which we'll see in a later while. For this research to determine the level of awareness, attitudes, and utilization of the elementary education educators on the four commonly used teaching pedagogies. We also want to see if the CAP of the involved stakeholders are affected by the sex, age, educational attainment, and length of service. And the outputs will be used to create a synergistic pedagogical model to enhance the learning experience of elementary education structures. So for the methodology, for the specifically the research design and the sampling technique, we are going to use or we use educational descriptive quantitative design. For the data gathering instrument, we use a structured questionnaire adapted from AB 2015 under 2011. And for the data interpretation and the statistical analysis, we're going to use we used NOVA and if necessary post analysis. And this methodological principles serve as the foundational stone in the development of the novel theoretical pedagogical model. So for the pedagogical awareness, we see here as a significant result that respondents are highly aware of the inquiry-based learning, but they are moderately aware on lecture method, cooperative learning, and learning with emphasis on communication skills. And this means that there may be misconceptions on these different pedagogies, and if there are misconceptions, they negatively alter the expected outputs of certain pedagogies. For the pedagogical attitude, we see here that respondents think that cooperative learning is the most effective attitude, and they would still agree that lecture-based learning and learning with emphasis on communication skills are also useful in the four corners of teaching pedagogy in elementary education or elementary education instructors. The positive attitude of respondents inform us about their potential use for the four pedagogies, and the factors that would be involved why members are would like to use some pedagogies and some members would prefer other pedagogies. They would consider the use of time, enjoyment of the students, and likewise, they might also have positive attitude toward a certain pedagogy if they believe that it's effective for student learning. And for the extent of pedagogical utilization, we see here that across the board, lecture, cooperative learning, inquiry-based learning, and with emphasis on communication skills, the elementary education educators are using these pedagogies sometimes in their teaching in their classroom. This indicates that at present, both student-centered pedagogies like cooperative learning, inquiry-based learning, and learning with emphasis on communication skills, and at the same time, teaching-centered pedagogy like method are still utilized. Now, in terms of the awareness, attitudes, and extent of utilization of various teaching pedagogies as group according to sex, there are no significant differences, which means they are comparable across the board. This is same with the age of the response group of 30, 31 to 40, 41 and above. There are no significant differences in the awareness, attitudes, and extent of utilization of these pedagogies. This is the same in work status, whether that be contractual, temporary, or permanent. At the same time, they're also comparable when it comes to the higher educational attainment of the respondents. If they're grouped as being bachelor's, master's degree holders, and doctorate degree holders, it's still comparable. Even the length of service for those who have been early in the academe, 6 to 10 years, 10 to 15 years, 16 to 20 years, and more than 20 years. It can be numerically perceived that so teaching the lowest teaching experience would have the lowest extent of utilization of the teaching pedagogies, numerically speaking, but statistically speaking, it's still comparable. However, though it may seem that the length of teaching service appear to have no effect on the awareness, attitudes, and extent of utilization on the four pedagogies of the respondents, the research of Tang and Chamberlain says otherwise. According to the research, the length of service has an impact on faculty perceptions that rewards and influences teaching. Hence, rank tenure and length of service influence the attitudes of faculty members toward teaching. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me just present to you the proposed pedagogical model where cooperative learning is proposed to be the primary teaching strategy. And this is statistically intertwined secondarily with the traditional lecture method, and that paper-based learning and learning with emphasis on communication skills can just support pedagogies to make the educator's teaching impact relevant and authentic. The proposed synergistic pedagogical model is formulated to intertwine the captured awareness, attitudes, and practice of the faculty members on the four commonly used teaching pedagogies. The synergistic teaching pedagogy is a new concept where a planned decision and utilization of the different pedagogies would be implemented. Conclusion, the use of various teaching pedagogies are affected by the educator's perceived effectiveness and enjoyment of certain pedagogies. With the educator's preference to learner-centered pedagogies, there is still a need for us to synergistically intertwine this pedagogy to the old and traditional pedagogies to achieve authentic learning. This is done so that the weakness of one pedagogy will be compensated by the strength of another. And the impact of this is seen in a bird's eye view. Pedagogies translated to authentic and lifelong learning builds the nation, according to Hensky 2013. And a nation's economic growth and development is dependent on learning and higher education, according to Rinderman 2012. So that's it. As I end this one, I just want to ask you a quick question. What is life for you? Is it about having or living a glorious legacy? Is it about getting all you want in life, doing a lot of research? Is it building a stronger, a more resilient nation? But what if we focus in the biblical perspective? What if a person's soul got everything that he wanted, but he ended up in hell? Jesus himself said, what shall it profit a man if he gains the whole world but lose his own soul? As I end this one, I want to answer that question. Jesus Christ is the answer because he holds the key to eternal life. So that's why we have to repent for our sins and accept saving grace, the grace of salvation. Having eternal life in Christ Jesus is the true meaning of life. God bless you all and thank you. These are the references of this research. Thank you so much.
Mr. Abba, please accept our thanks for the valuable information you shared. Let's welcome our next speaker, Ms. Annalyn Bisidas from Bohol Island State University, Main Campus, Bohol, Philippines. Her research paper is Knowledge Development of the Faculty of Higher Education Institutions for Flexible Learning During COVID-19 Pandemic.
Good day. It's such an honor and privilege for me to be part of this international conference on education, environment, and agriculture, and to present my study entitled Technology Adoption of the Faculty of Higher Education Institutions During COVID-19 Pandemic. This is Annalyn Bisidas from Bohol Island State University. So what is this study all about? This study intended to determine the level of adoption of technology of the Faculty of Higher Education Institutions in Bohol in undertaking flexible or remote classes during the academic year 2020-2021. It also sought to identify whether age, gender, physical status, type of institutional affiliation, personality, prior experience to online learning, digital competence, and managerial support significantly determine the level of technology adoption. Specifically, we sought to answer the following specific questions. What is the profile of the faculty of HEIs in Bohol in terms of age, gender, civil status, type of institutional affiliation, personality, prior experience to online learning, and digital competence? Next, what is the extent of the managerial support received by the faculty from the administration? What is the level of the adoption of technology of HI faculty in undertaking flexible or remote classes? Is the level of technology adoption of the faculty of HEIs significantly determined by age, gender, civil status, type of institutional affiliation, personality, prior experience to online learning, digital competence, and managerial support? And finally, what faculty development program can be proposed based on the findings of the study? So for the rationale, just a brief overview of how this study came up. This is because the researcher has found out that the COVID-19 health crisis has brought huge opportunities for maximizing the potential of technology for learning, especially because teachers and students cannot do any more face-to-face interactions inside the classroom. So this technical and conceptual framework of the study. This study is anchored on the following theories and legal basis. So these are the theories: the technology acceptance model, which is that perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use are fundamental determinants of user acceptance on technology, and the unified theory of acceptance and use of technology, stating that performance expectancy, effort expectancy, social conditions, and facilitating conditions are key determinants for predicting behavioral intention and usage behaviors. The legal basis of this study are the following: Memo number 4 series of 2020, or also called as the Implementation of Flexible Learning, and RA 10844 for the Department of Information and Communications Technology Act of 2015. And the study believed that these are the factors that would have significant contribution to the adoption of technology of the faculty of HEIs, namely age, gender, civil status, type of institutional affiliation, personality, prior experience to online learning, digital competence, and managerial support. And the results of this study are believed to be able to develop a proposed program for faculty development in technology adoption. Now, the research methodology of this study. So this study made use of the descriptive survey research design, which used survey to gather relevant data from the faculty of higher education institutions in Bohol. The researcher has no control over any of the variables. The study was also conducted in the province of Bohol, which has 10 public and 15 private colleges and universities. And the respondents are the 318 faculty members of public and 142 faculty members of private higher education institutions in the province of Bohol. The study also made use of a survey questionnaire to gather data, which is composed of 6 parts, which are personal information, personality of faculty, faculty prior experience to online learning, digital competence, managerial support for the faculty, and adoption of technology of HEI's faculty. The data gathering process follows the following phases or stages. First is the asking of permission from the Regional Director of the Commission of Higher Education Region 7. Then, development of the survey questionnaire, which ensures the survey questionnaires validity and reliability. Then, administration of the survey questionnaire to the respondents through Google Forms, and lastly, the analysis and interpretation of data. The study made use of multiple regression analysis as its statistical test. Now, let me share to you the findings, conclusions, and recommendations of the study. For the findings, majority of the faculty of HEIs are millennials aged 23 to 38 years old, females, single, affiliated in public institutions, and are conscientious in personality. Then, the majority of the faculty have high prior experience to online learning, comprising 44.1% of the total number of respondents. Only 13.9% of the faculty have low prior experience. Also, the majority of the faculty have high digital competence, comprising 15.4% of the total number of respondents, while only 4.8% have low competence. Greater portion of the faculty have received high level of managerial support from the administration in undertaking flexible or remote classes, comprising 60.4% of the total number of respondents, while only 4.8% received low support. And also, the most number of the faculty have average level of adoption of technology, comprising 49.1% of the total number of respondents. Only 2.8% have low technology adoption. And of course, only 4 of the independent variables, personality, prior experience to online learning, digital competence, and managerial support, are statistically significant predictors of the adoption of technology with p-value lesser than 0.05. The study also came up with the multiple regression model orientation, AT, or adoption of technology, equals 13.729 plus 5.332, P, agreeableness, plus 5.445, P, conscientiousness, plus 6.686, P, neuroticism, plus 8.010, E, openness, plus 0.690, prior experience, plus 0.214, digital competence, plus 0.455, managerial support. And the conclusion of the study, first, age, gender, civil status, and type of institutional affiliation do not significantly determine the adoption of knowledge of the faculty of higher education institutions. Meanwhile, personality, prior experience to online learning, digital competence, and managerial support are significant predictors of the adoption of technology. Further, the faculty who is open to experience personality type will most likely adopt technology at a high level. On the other hand, the faculty who has extrovert personality type will most likely adopt technology at a low level. Also, the faculty who has high prior experience to online learning, high digital competence, and has received high support from the administration are most likely to adopt technology at a high level. Also, this study has the following recommendations. First, support from school administrators for the faculty in conducting flexible or remote classes. Then, review, revision, and implementation of faculty development programs for the adoption of technology. Third, conduct of similar studies integrating other possible predictors of adoption of technology and considering respondents from other divisions or regions. And finally, findings of this study may be utilized as basis for future researchers who wish to conduct similar studies. So that's it for my presentation of my research study. Thank you very much for listening. And the researcher is now ready for your questions and clarifications.
Ms. Pisidas, we appreciate you sharing your research work with us. Next to present is Ms. Kuvi Paterno from Partido State University, Camarines Sur, Philippines. Her research paper is Student Experiences and Preferences in Online and Distance Learning.
Good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Kubi Paterno of Parque State University. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present in this third international conference on Education, Environment, and Agriculture 2022. Parque State University is considered as top one among SUCs in the Philippines, with highest percentage of accredited program over the total available programs of 1992 by the accrediting agencies of chartered colleges and universities in the Philippines last March 10 to 12, 2021. And it is also as an ISO 9001 State University. Now we studies entitled Student Experiences and Preferences in Online and Distance Learning. Now, the background of the study is COVID-19 is a global public health emergency has affected education, which shifted us from traditional to online and distance learning modality. Well, no distinction between nationality, ethnicity, disability, status, age, or gender. That's according to UNICEF 2020, and it will affect 1.6 billion students across the globe. And as third world country, Philippines significantly affected by this pandemic. The objective is that of the study are to record and analyze experiences of students in online distance learning, identify those students and culture, discuss their coping mechanism, and what is the effect as to the preferences in online and distance learning. Now, this study used the following methodology. I used the combined or mixed method using quality and quantitative methods with 1,225 college students from private and public universities in Bicol region. And I used the online survey to gather data, and online and survey was used to validate some data. Now, according to or based on the findings, these are the experiences of the students in online and distance learning. For internet connection, connectivity, lack of resources, no loan, financial problem, or lack of support from their parents. Sometimes they also find it hard to manage their time because of their household chores. Also, there are students who experience geographic location of their hindrances, unannounced blackouts and power interruptions, health problems due to overexposure to radiation, lack of instructors' inputs and motivation, lack of uh, encouragement or motivation. They feel disappointed about this type of modality, and their poor mobile phone services, and of course, difficulty in learning using online. As in the attendance of students in online distance learning classes, figure 1 shows the attendance, and the data shows 280 or 20% of students rated their attendance paid online in distance learning. 228 or 18.16 rated them 9, and 185 or 15.1% rated them 5, while only 146 or 11.9 out of 1,225 students attend their classes regularly. Now, as to the causes of the poor attendance online class due to poor connectivity, this study asked the students on their experiences. They said that internet connection is a major problem. No matter how they tried to attend online classes, it was very difficult because those days or on those times they live in a secluded place, like in island, in highland areas. And one time they managed to open their data an hour before the schedule of classes, but they get home of the lesson because of poor internet connectivity. Others then said he or she feel he can connect with the virtual meetings uploaded by the professor. However, there was always a disturbance concerning the unstable internet connection they have. Another student said it was convenient and easy to use. However, connection is a problem that makes it or makes them incompetent. Another student said he been to online classes for first quarter. However, his experience wasn't that good because of the poor connection in their area. So he decided to modular learning because he can access learning easier. Then, um, another student said, first, I didn't have stable internet connection, then that's a big impact on my attendance during online. Second, I have things to do or to be done, and it's far more important than completing my attendance in my class. So I sometimes attend whole day, but tell them do it. Another another finding is that students feel disappointed or they lose their motivation. They feel it tiring, boring, hard, and worst. And there are a lot of technical errors that happens, and sometimes they do not meet their expectation during discussion. And he also tells that it's also a teacher factor because some faculty rarely attend their respective classes. That is why few students, including him, lost interest in their subject areas. And another one is the difficulty in learning. He was excited about distance learning because there will be a socialization required, but truthfully, online classes depleted him. He don't understand the lesson and only do the activities to meet the deadline. So as the load or financial problem experience, sometimes they join virtual meetings in the middle of the discussion because they don't have sometimes mobile data due to financial shortcoming. As to household work and errands, one student said he has several household work to fulfill. That is why he cannot attend online discussions regularly. As to the location or geographical location of their condition, one student answered that he experienced that online class is not easy, especially those people who are in the coastal area who has poor internet connection. And it has many disadvantages to them, like attending class on time, participating in oral recitation, and submitting the requirements on time. Then sometimes some professors send activity even though their class hour is not their time to teach. Also, they send late activities at midnight. Another um, factor is the announcement of outdoor power interruption. So there are a lot of barrier to attend their class on time because of internet connection and announced blackout and more. And there are times that they were not able to attend the class because suddenly the internet connection was lost. And I am in the midst of reciting. And poor mobile phone services, they can attend due to weaknesses of the internet. Sometimes the line is cut. Their cell phone goes off every time they have their Google Meet. And it's hard. So they try to attend every Google Meet, but it also limits on purpose and they don't know where their problem is. As to the punctuality of the students in online and distance learning classes, the data shows that 138 or 11.3% out of 1,255 students got on time during online classes. 256 or 20.9% rated at 9, while 303 or 24.7% rated at 8 with highest responses. Meanwhile, only 15 or 1% or 8 or 0.7% and 24 or 2% failed to attend classes on time. It was revealed that only a few students attend their classes on time. So it was also backed up by their experiences, and the findings are they lack discipline or focus. So they said that they always wake up late. Sometimes they cannot attend the classes on time because of online games. They woke up late and not aware of their schedule. Though they're always present in their online class, there are times that it may seem late because of the internet connection, and sometimes they woke up in the morning so late. Another one is poor internet connectivity. Sometimes they're early, but almost out 15 to 20 minutes, but they are sometimes late depending on the signal. And then difficulty in the completion of modules and tasks. Honestly, they no longer care about punctuality as long as they submit the requirements. This is another matter. Poor time management and forgetfulness, because to be honest, every time they participated in online class, sometimes they're not prepared, and conflict regarding imbalancing the time between other staff and classes. As to lack of resources and gadget, some students said that during class time or online class, the situation is difficult because there is sudden Google Meet case and there is no load, or you will be then immediately, and it's even harder for them because their phone storage is no longer available, and they have to delete other apps, including Gmeet. And another one is their negative attitude towards online distance learning. Like in face-to-face, they said, in this situation, student is not the only priority. They have to do other commitments in their home, and they have to do a lot of tasks. That's why sometimes studying is a priority, and sometimes just ended up neglected. So as to the challenges of students in the acquisition of knowledge and skills, Figure 3 shows the data, and only 7.3% or 89 out of 1,225 respondents feel satisfied with a rank of 10 as highest. And this is followed by 250 or 20.4% of students, while 382 or 31.2% of students rated at 8 as their level of required knowledge and skills. Meanwhile, 12 or 1% rated at lowest, followed by 7 responses, or 17 or 1.4% level of satisfaction. Now, here are their responses as to the reason as to their poor acquisition of knowledge and skills. First is their difficulty in learning. As for themselves, study isn't enough. They find a hard time comprehending the modules and the codes. Face-to-face is really needed. Another one, they have poor assessment. Um, some students said that he is not in favor of online classes because it's unfair. All students have access to Google and other applications that they can be used for cheating. And we shouldn't tolerate this kind of action. What will they learn? How about after graduating and they don't know anything? I mean, they adapt the wrong character and multiply it to the work in the future as well. Apart from that, some of the teachers are not teaching properly. They give excuses and they live as the module for the week and do not teach but always give activities. Another one is their negative attitudes towards online and distance learning. They said that face-to-face classes is better than in this so-called online class. University and school environment than our house. Our house or our home can be distracted. Can be destructive sometimes. The level of acquired knowledge that they get is good, but not quite. Relying solely on online education hinder their holistic development, and many may underperform later in their professional and personal lives. Another one is their need for teachers' input in physical teaching and demonstration. Actually, when it comes to skills, they can say that they do not develop much because of obviously the required skill in their course, the course actual demonstration and participation between teachers and students, which is the new mode of education can give. So as to the student preferences in online and distance learning, um, my technical skills or internet apps has increased by attending online classes. That the highest weighted mean of 2.81. They agree. And instructor understand the online environment is easy to learn, and that's 2.65. And they develop their sense of discipline and responsibility, and that's 2.61. Now, the conclusion of this study are the interplay of the different challenges of students which affect their preferences in online and distance learning. This is also reflected on their attendance and punctuality in online classes. The major causes of these challenges are internet equity, efficiency. Although most of them are struggling with this new style of learning, students also applied varied coping mechanisms to overcome these challenges. While support from teachers and parents are very important in these trying times, college students still need teachers and parents important in these trying times, and they can help students to enhance their knowledge and develop their skills. Lastly, their level of satisfaction on online and distance learning is found moderately quick. So the recommendation of the study are these identified challenges may serve as input in designing online curriculum and alternative program for students facing difficulty in online and distance learning. Well, in terms of poor internet connectivity, the institution may devise internet connection assistance program that would cater their student needs and difficulties in cooperation with local government unit and other agencies. Aiming of learning materials may be intensified. However, while developing the value of social professional responsibility and embracing the new normal among students is very essential. Students may also be given series of orientation before online class started, and a clear classroom policy may be reflected in the syllabus and may be revisited based on the background of students. We can also set expectations explicit and have the consequences flexible and specific in order to develop student sense of discipline. Lastly, classroom management may also be adjusted to their new style of learning without sacrificing the causes for continual absenteeism and dropouts. Now, the impact and outcome of the study is based on CHED Memorandum Number 4, Series 2020, guidelines on the implementation of flexible learning in accordance with the pertinent provisions of RA 7722, otherwise known as Higher Education Act of 1994, RA 11469, otherwise known as Bayanihan Bill as one block, and by virtue of Commission in Bank CAB Resolution Number 412/2020, the Commission on Higher Education hereby adopts and promulgates these guidelines on flexible learning to be implemented by public and private higher education institutions. Now, through research, educational policies may be intensified to manage the struggles between or faced by the students in the new normal and respond to address the gap between the preferences of students to traditional face-to-face instruction by aligning the lessons with challenges they encountered from online distance learning and by transcending sustainable policy research and sustainable development programs amidst pandemic. Thus, I end this presentation aligned. Transitioning to COVID-19 world struggle and response and lessons. Thank you very much and good morning and mabuhay po kita gabos. Thank you. Here are my references. Thank you very much.
Okay, Sean.
Good day. We'll be presenting to you our study on the effect of SIM, the academic performance of fifth grade People's in Science, and Elisa Christie Alvareda and yours truly, Maria Boy. In acquiring knowledge, the teacher plays important roles like imparting knowledge to children and assessing their progress and concepts of district consolidated fourth quarter in percentage score in school year 2018-2019 showed that science ranked 7th out of the 9 learning areas among the elementary schools in Area 4 of Kananga Division. Remarkably, this elementary school, which is third local, manifested that science ranked 6 of the 9 schools in the Area 4 of the said district. Such low performance in science led to the identification of the learning gap. This Malan 2015 suggested teachers may mitigate the existing problems by using a variety of teaching methodologies and instructional materials. Released DO number 39 series which contain the guiding principles and addressing learning gaps by producing a learning profile for each student detailing their assessed. Also in EdTech, the development of SEAMS as enhancement tools in teaching science. These were hoped to be adopted as instructional material for teaching science to facilitate and improve performance according to Bunagan also stressed that SEAMS or the strategic intervention material as instructional material meant to teach the concepts and least learned skills. It is an instructional material given to students to assist in mastering competency skill which they have not yet developed classroom instruction. Most of the themes used in teaching are inside presentation software, which with graphics, with engaged multiple learning styles, with visual impact, improved audience goals, among others. Fourth, because of this, the researchers made use of the themes to improve learning. So this is anchored on the SIT static intervention theory of play, which emphasized that teaching should engulf new products, instructional media, curricular materials, tools, and modern equipment that can be used maximally to facilitate the presentation of science concepts with equity, and then the desired output and high performance can be attained. So this is our framework and specifically would like each course in the pre-test and post-test of the two groups. Before, significant difference between the mean percentage scores in the post-test of the two groups. Fourth, the mean level of academic performance of fifth grade science pupils of the two groups before and after exposing to teams and LMs. Fifth, significant differences in the mean level of academic performance of pupils in the two groups fifth grade science class after exposing them to Princeton and LM teaching science. And lastly, significant difference in the mean academic performance of pupils in fifth grade science class exposed to Princeton and LMs in science. So we made use of the quasi-experimental method, specifically the control group design that investigated the effect of Princeton used in teaching fifth grade. The respondents of the study were the fifth grade pupils in elementary school in area 4 of Kananga, and established comparability of the group. They made use of their GWA in the previous grade in science, learning in grade. The researchers used researcher science I, the PST research package, item analysis from the Education Council, the LN, and the PNC. The test was administered by the two concepts simultaneously in the same day. The experimental group and the control group level 15 minutes. The advisor of each course closely follow the standards. For check the advisors obtaining the pupil scores as data recorded using the PPSD research package item analysis to determine the academic performance of pupils. The mean percentage score both group experimental and control were computed using the set template with equivalent discovery level. Classroom teaching were exposing the fifth grade pupils to LMs and brain themes, and exposing the pupils to the LM and themes was undertaken after the pandemic. Topics of the first quarter on matter included useful and formal materials as well as stages that materials divided into four into three comprehensive clusters as indicated in the K-12 PG. Sequence in the lesson delivery using the themes adhere to the process as prescribed in the daily lesson log using the five. So, in data analysis, we may use or determine the mean percentage score per skill, and the paired pretest was used to determine the no significant difference between the mean percentage scores in the pretest and post-test of the two groups. And for the analysis of covariance was used to determine the no significant difference between the mean academic performance of pupils exposed to mean themes and LM. So from the results, the mean percentage scores of pupils in pretest and post-test in the experimental and control group. This indicates that most groups of beginner below 6% interpreted at low mastery of the competencies set by them. These results affirm the study of Cinco 2020, claiming that the test results of the pupil does not meet the 75% standard. For the significant difference within the mean percentage scores in the pretest, experimental, and control groups shows that the computed p-value level 3 is 0.05. So they are just equal. So there is no significant difference in the mean in the MPS in pretest, both in the experimental and control group. The results prove that the two groups are comparably before and after the use of brain themes and LM. The significant difference within the mean percentage scores in the post-test of the experimental and control group. So it can be gleaned the MPS of the experimental group is 72.78, while the control group is 56.67. This means that the experimental group has obtained a higher MPS than that of the control group with a difference of 16.11%. On the other hand, the computed p-value is 5.07, which is less than 0.05. So there is a significant difference in MPS in the post. So the level of academic performance of pupils in the pre-test and post-test it can be clear on table 5 that based on the MPS of the two groups, the experimental group performed better than the control. For the significant difference in the mean level of the academic performance of pupils in pre-test and post-test in table 6, the results of the pre-test reveal that the pupils in both experimental group and the control group posted significantly higher mean post-test scores respectively. Okay, so such results were highly significant. It is associated with the computed p-values. So for the significant difference between the mean and academic performance of people in fifth grade science class exposed to enzymes and LMs, so in table 7, the evidence was strong. The use of enzymes in science that the fifth grade pupils resulted in significantly better scores of the pupils compared to the use of LM. So this is in affirmation of the studies of Greece in 2016, Perfley, and Angola, showing that students preferred to have the themes or printed materials in comparison to the study of Cummings, which revealed business preferred the non-P. So as a conclusion, having obtained the same percentage scores in the pretest, both the control and experimental groups were comparable in the learning level. The experimental group scored high in both tests, within further they're having learned better using SIMS than with having used LM. The significant difference within the mean percentage score in the pretest of the two groups indicated that both groups compare comparability of learning abilities prior to exposure to materials. Fourth, the significant difference within the mid-percentage score in the process of the two groups indicated that their performance of the experimental. Fifth, given identical set of instructions, experimental group consistently displayed a better performance over the control group counterpart. And lastly, the low mastery level and academic performance of the fifth grade science pupils before exposing them to materials indicated that the apparent learning gap in science and that principles came out with effective instructional materials to address the noted learning. These, these are the recommendations and the references used by the research.
Thank you, Mr. Boya, for intending us your research paper. After listening to the insightful and inspiring sharing of various topics from our researchers, they are now waiting for your question or clarification. You may write your question in the chat comment section in the Facebook Live for the moderator to read. So, any questions from our participants? Okay, so we have question for Ms. Isidas. Ma'am, good morning. Good
Hello,
morning,
good
ma'am.
morning.
Good morning, ma'am. Ma'am, here's your question. Interventions and programs would you suggest to address the low adoption rate of the faculty with extrovert personality types?
Yes, I think I was not able to really elaborate that during my presentation because one factor also is because of the limitation of time. But for that, one of my recommendation is to really craft a separate kind of training program for those teachers who are having a personality type of extrovert. So it's kind of something that would allow them to socialize, the kind of training that would make sure that they socialize with other people because we know very well that extroverts, they love to go out, they love to socialize. So the best thing to do is to make sure that our trainings are not so, that it's not so serious. Maybe we would make it more outgoing and more interactive so that our participants, especially those who are extroverts, would learn more.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. Our second question is for Mr. Abang. Good morning, sir.
Good morning po.
Good morning, sir. So here's your question, sir. What interventions the faculty should do or implement if they want to change the extent of pedagogical utilization in class?
Hello, thank you for the question. And well, if you check presentation earlier, I actually came up with a synergistic pedagogical model based on the results of the study, since the cooperative learning is the teaching strategy that they love the most, but we cannot do away with the lecture method. Proposed for the synergistic use of both the 21st century teaching learning pedagogy to cooperative learning. But we have to anchor the lecture method as a secondary teaching strategy, especially because if we're gonna take note of the curriculum of education students, it's quite lengthy and it's difficult for us to consider all the things in curriculum if we are not if we will go lecture method. So it's gonna be a just relationship with this cooperative learning, and the other two here is increased teaching strategy plus the learning with us to communication skills, because education students, they should also have a good grasp on polishing their communication skills. So that's all.
Thank you so much, sir. So our last question is for Mr. Tabatin. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. So, sir, here's your question. After the research was completed, is the result of that you were presented to the administration? And if presented, what are the reaction of the administration and what are the steps to address the problems like delay in salary and work overload?
uh, in the matter of salary, they set a time frame to strictly abide this time frame to give the salary to release the salary on time. And as to the what's the second question again, sir? Sorry.
The second question, sir, if presented, what are the reaction of the administration and what are the steps done to address the problems like delayed in salary and work overload?
So as to the work overload, sir, they test every unit that lacks manpower, and so they hire additional manpower to um, to maintain the time at the work at these hours because employees extends their time due to lack of manpower, extend their time beyond 5 p.m. and sometimes they bring their work at their home.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. To our second batch of paper presenters, thank you for answering the questions from our audiences and likewise to our participants and of course to our Facebook Live audiences. So let's give our speakers a virtual applause. So at this juncture, let me summarize some major points and highlights in this session. We have heard various challenges and concerns in the field of education brought by COVID-19 pandemic. The sudden changes makes it hard for us to adjust and cope up quickly. However, despite of these challenges and hindrances, the schools, employees, and students remain adaptive and flexible. And we cannot deny the fact that some problems hinders the students, employees, that hinders the students and employees to perform well. So that is why interventions from us like teachers and enthusiasts are vital. And we are grateful to have witnessed how presenters recommend solutions to improving the curriculum, delivery, the student services, and professional development needed by employers. I hope that the teachers and enthusiasts in the field of education continue solutions and innovations since this is called new normal will be our now normal. Thank you very much. So a warm virtual applause to all our speakers who have shared their ideas and insights on various topics. So at this point, let me thank everyone for your time in attending this session and making our experience in this international conference a rewarding and fulfilling one. We hope to see you again next year during the fourth Isaiah conference. Once again, thank you for patience and active participation. Before we go back to the main room, may I request everyone to open the cameras for sample to documentation and please show your best.
Sir, good afternoon, good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning, sir.
Sir, we would like to ask the attendance this morning. Thank you. The attendance being sir.
The attendance, okay, we will share it to you, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So Jinsal, are you done with the photo documentation? Okay. Okay, smile, everyone.
Good morning. May I request everyone to open their cameras? Thank you.
One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. So we will see you then in the main room and let's wait for the other sections to finish and after which we will have the closing ceremony for this conference. I'm Rene Andropal, the session moderator, and with me is Jensel J. Cañares, our session's rapporteur. Thank you very much, and God bless us all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for everyone.
Thank you. Thank you,
That's
And
students.
attendance statement, sir. Yeah, IBS.
The attendance link, ma'am, sir, will be shared in the main room. Thank you.
noted, sir. Thank you.
Noted po.
This meeting is being recorded.